In August, the first public signs of trouble. A series of serious and fatal accidents involving Ford Explorers with Firestone tires. The treads peeled off the casings, causing accidents at highway speeds, especially rollovers.
In August of 1900, the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company was founded by Harvey S. Firestone in Akron, Ohio. During this time, the company was marketing and selling solid rubber tires for carriage wheels. Firestone Tire and Rubber Company became a pioneer in the mass production of tires and became the supplier of tires for the Ford Motor Company because of Harvey S. Firestone's friendship with Henry Ford. Firestone and Ford would become partners for many years. The company was eventually sold to Bridgestone in 1988 to become Bridgestone Firestone. Bridgestone Firestone is the largest subsidiary of the Bridgestone Corporation, the world's largest tire and rubber company. They develop, manufacture, and market Bridgestone, Firestone, Dayton, and Associate and private brand tires. Bridgestone Firestone works to continually innovate and offer the best tires with safety and performance in mind.
Firestone Tire ran into a roadblock in 2000 and 2001 when the Wilderness AT, Radial ATX, and Radial ATX2 model of their tires were prone to tread separation. Unfortunately, as of September 2001, the government stated that tires were the cause of 192 deaths and 500 injuries. In Washington, D.C., on August 9, 2000, Bridgestone Firestone Company announced a voluntary recall of 3.85 million Radial ATX, Radial ATX2 tires, and 2.7 million Wilderness AT tires. This was the second largest tire recall in history. At the time of the announcement for the recall, these tires had been linked by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and consumer advocacy groups, 270 complaints, 80 crashes, and 46 deaths. Later, the NHTSA would raise the figures to over 100 deaths and 500 injuries. These incidents make this one of the most serious cases of product failure in U.S. history.
Firestone stated that 6.5 million tires were replaced in the recall, which made it the most successful recall ever. At first, it was thought that the majority of the defective tires were made at the Decatur plant located in Illinois, but later testimony showed that Firestone had knowledge of this problem dating back to the early 1990s. The main underlying reason for the defects in the tires is due to Firestone's neglect to have a nylon overlay belt, which is founded in the middle of the tire to help stabilize the tire itself while the wheel is on the vehicle. The company's U.S. unit lost $1.7 billion because of costs associated with the recall and lawsuit settlements. In as early as 1996, several agencies in Arizona reported having major problems with the Firestone tires on Explorers. This product recall is tied hand in hand with the major flaw in the Ford Explorer's design. Statistics showed that the Explorer had 5 to 10 times as many failure claims as other Ford models using the same exact tire. While Firestone recommended the tire pressure on the particular vehicle to be set at 35 psi, Ford decided to remove the air from the tires, lowering the recommended psi to 26. This made it easier for tires to overheat, causing tread separation and ultimately to frequent SUV crashes. The Ford Explorer's overall structure was too narrow and top-heavy for the Firestone Wilderness AT tires, having a relatively narrow track and high center of gravity. This led this SUV to be more prone to rollover than other contemporary sedans and station wagons.
Early tests would describe the Ford Explorer as tippy, and the optimal way to fix this problem would be widen the vehicle's wheelbase and lower its center of gravity. However, these changes would delay production longer than Ford's executives were willing to tolerate. Ford's engineer had offered a backup plan to lower the tire pressure down to 26 psi, even though the tires had been designed specifically for this vehicle. Normally the tires were recommended for 30 to 35 psi, and the 26 psi affects how rigid the tires are. Once the tire starts to flex, it creates more friction on the tires, and friction creates excessive heat that these Firestone tires could not handle. With the combination of these tires and the modest payload of the Explorer being exceeded, it generated the exploding tires. Firestone claimed that even with the lower pressures Ford was considering, we don't think it will be a problem. The decreased tire pressure also led to decreased fuel economy, so Ford was seeking another solution. With this, they tried to reduce the rolling resistance by making the tires lighter. Here, Firestone reduced the weight of the tires by 10% by removing some of the components that were later determined to affect its overall safety.
For them to increase their buyers' willingness to pay and increase their competitive advantage, the two companies cut ties with one another, seeing that each company was at fault for their own reasons. Firestone didn't want to continue to tarnish their already diminishing reputation relating to quality, performance, and safety any further. According to Gary Krieger, Executive Vice President of Bridgestone Firestone Incorporated, at Bridgestone Firestone, nothing is more important to us than the safety of our customers. We felt we must take this extraordinary step as a precaution to ensure customer safety and consumer confidence in our brands. So no matter how old the tires, no matter how many miles they have on them, we will replace them with new tires. Firestone also had a mass recall put into effect to better their image by replacing all defective tires used on Ford Explorers. Later that same year, the Making It Right action plan was announced in December to enhance the company in 3 different areas. The first being to implement an early warning system to notify consumers of product defects before it's too late. Secondly, overall enhancements relating to the materials used in constructions of the company's products were to be put in place. Finally, due to a large number of customer requests, production facilities and processes will continue to be upgraded. This is consistent with the company's long-standing program of continuous improvement. Firestone also expanded warranties to prove that its products are as effective and reliable as they claim they are, ensuring customer trust and loyalty. In addition to print and television advertising, the Firestone campaign will also utilize database marketing, in-store promotions, car care clinics, and internet advertising.
You could say racing is our life, but when you really get down to it, safety is our life.
Literally, one of the more important pieces of safety equipment is the tires.
So it's really important to take great care of your tires.
To inflate and rotate, to keep them performing safely.
That's why Firestone's put together a free brochure on proper tire maintenance.
Because safety is always the most important thing.
No matter what you're driving.
After all was said and done, Firestone took most of the blame for the tires than Ford was willing to do. In various surveys, 81% of those surveyed held Firestone responsible for the accidents, while 8.5% held Ford responsible. Nearly 65% of respondents said that the incidents would influence their decision to buy Firestone products, and only 35% said that incidents would influence their decision to purchase Ford automobiles. Evidence shows that both companies held partial blame in this situation. The final decision to end the partnership became mutual amongst both organizations. Ford felt Firestone was to blame, while Firestone was unhappy that Ford would not take some of the blame. Both companies withheld their current contracts with one another but failed to develop any further business.